Well, good morning, Vibrant Church. As I just spoke to you a second ago, my name is Pastor Brad Heathcock, and I am the students pastor and the kids pastor here at Vibrant Church. And the reason that our lead pastor, Pastor Marco Johnson, is not here today is because he is off actually graduating from college. It's a huge accomplishment. We're very proud of him. And just so you know, I'll take time to brag on our pastor. He wouldn't tell you this, but our pastor is one of the hardest working people I have ever met in my entire life. He is so driven, and he also has a heart of gold, as I'm sure you've known if you spent any time with him. As being on staff with him, there's been a couple of times where I've kind of not done something the way that it was supposed to be done, and he told me about it, and the whole time it was like he was reprimanding me, and I didn't even know it. And I just felt so good about getting told that I was doing the thing wrong whenever I left. And I started telling my wife about it, and she's like, "So are you in like trouble?" I was like, "No, I didn't." "Oh yeah, I messed that up. I should probably fix that." And so that's just kind of how he is. He's just a loving guy. And just so you know, you're in good leadership here at Vibrant Church. And so we, as you saw from the video, are going to be talking about families. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there were a bunch of families across the United States this past weekend that their family grew in numbers. One family in particular would be the family of the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys at the NFL draft this past weekend drafted, and now, just so you know, I'm contractually obligated due to negotiations that are happening behind the scenes and potential endorsements that may happen from this draft. I can't name any names, but just so you know, I'm not a delusional Cowboys fan. Can't stand delusional Cowboys fans. They just get on my nerves. But looking at the data and what happened this past weekend, there's no doubt in my mind that the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl in the 2019-2020 season. It's just the facts. These are just facts. I'm just regurgitating the facts. I'm here to speak the truth. You know what I mean? I'm here to speak the truth. That's right. All joking aside, welcome to week one of our series called No Ordinary Family, where we're going to be putting our focus on the extraordinary family of God. Now, we know that family means something different to everybody, but it does mean something to everybody. Now, regardless of what family looks like to you, family was God's idea, and his desire is for you to be a member of a vibrant and growing family. In an ordinary world, we can be a part of an extraordinary family. In fact, if you look at the Bible, there's a common theme that you'll see threaded in the Old Testament and all the way out through the New Testament, and that is a theme of family. God values family, and in the very beginning, whenever God created the heavens and the earth and everything that you see and everything that we know, he also created family. He created Adam, and he let Adam kind of do his thing for a little bit, and then he realized that it is not good for man to be alone. All the fellows said, "That's right, I know that's right?" All right. And he gave Adam Eve. And Eve and Adam became the first family. And if you're familiar with the story, then you know that things didn't go perfectly in the garden, and sin entered the world whenever Adam and Eve both ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And since then, when they left the garden, God has been doing everything he can, putting a plan into place in order to restore his family. Now, depending on your family dynamics, the word family can bring up all kinds of emotions. We understand that. But God's desire for you is not for us to live in a broken family, but to give us a blessed family. The Bible allows us to discover what it means to be part of God's family and how you can experience God's blessings right here and right now. Let's pray. If I can open up this water bottle, that'd be great. Father, I thank you for every person that's in here right now. God, I thank you for what you're doing here at Vibrant Church. God, thank you for placing such a high value on family. I pray right now that I could get out of the way, and God, that you could get into this room right now and that you could speak to us in a way that you never have before, in a way that we can understand so that we could walk out of here better than we came in. In Jesus' name, amen. Anybody here grow up with a sibling that wasn't the nicest person in the world? Yeah. I was about to say, are they in here right now? Are they sitting next to you? Blink twice if you need help. I see those blinks. We're going to have an altar call for those blinks at the end of this service. So just hold on to that. I, too, had a sibling that I grew up with that was not so nice. In fact, my sister She hates it when I talk about this. Me and my sister have a great relationship now. But then she had an anger problem, and her problem was that I angered her. It was like, my sister, she would get mad at the smallest things. And honestly, it left me confused, shocked, and in a state of constant fear and terror from the time that I was, 5 years old all the way up until I was, how old am I? 29? No. I remember this one time in particular where my sister, she made it very, very clear that she had a problem hearing smacking noises whenever you would eat. Now, I can understand, okay, and I do, especially now, that smacking noises are a thing and that they happen whenever people eat. What I did not know was that I had a very, really bad time smacking, and so I knew this. I had gotten into little altercations with my sister before, and I didn't want to wake the beast, right? But I remember I went to go make myself some Fruit Loop cereal, right? Fruit Loop cereal. I know some people have their preference of cereal, but cereal, like life, comes in cycles. We all know this, okay? So Fruit Loops were my cereal of choice at the time, and I remember I poured my milk into my cereal, and I went, and when I turned out of the kitchen, I saw her. She was there at the table where I was going to eat, and it was almost like she dared me to sit there, but Mom and Dad had a rule. You could only eat at the table, and so it was either her or them. You can imagine my struggle. And I sat down, and she's reading something or looking at something, and she's preoccupied, and I just remember slowly getting my spoon and dipping my first little bite of Captain Crunch. Cycles, remember? Okay, Fruit Loops. And I put it in my mouth, and I just slowly pulled the spoon out and crunch, crunch, crunch. Okay, must be a good day. Got a little more confident with the second scoop. Ate away, okay? It's hard to stop eating Fruit Loops whenever they taste so fruity. So I got to about the fourth or fifth scoop, and I was enjoying it. I was in my head, this is nice. Can it always be like this? And all of a sudden, just very quickly, my sister looked up and just smacked me across the face. Spoon flies, little half-chown, that's a new word. Half-chewed bits of Fruit Loops went flying, and I just turned and I looked, and she looked me in the head, or in the head area. I was terrified. It hurts. It's hard to talk about. Just leave me alone here. This is therapy. She says, "Quit smacking!" And I didn't even know how to respond. I just kind of looked at her silently, and I knew I was done eating for that time. And so my point in telling that story is God is not new to families that have problems, okay? Lots of families have problems, and it's nothing new to God. In fact, if we go back and we talk about Adam and Eve in that first family, after they left the garden, how many of you guys know they had two sons? One was named Cain, and the other one's name was Abel. And Cain and Abel, in the Bible, this is the first sibling rivalry. Now, I don't know if Cain and Abel had a problem with each other smacking whenever they were eating, but they had a much bigger problem, and that was a problem of jealousy, because what happens is Cain and Abel are on their way to church, right? They're on their way to give a sacrifice and offer it to God, and Cain sees Abel's sacrifice, and he gets a little jealous. He starts feeling a little angry, and he does what anybody would naturally do. He kills his brother because he was angry at him, right? No, that's not natural. I got that. Cain kills Abel, and so just so you know, if you're in here today and you brought your family, and on the way here no one died, you're doing pretty good, especially compared to the first family that God had created. There's no amount of baggage that you could bring in here today as far as your family is concerned that is going to change the way that Vibrant Church thinks about you or change the way that God thinks about you. We all have issues. We all have family problems, and there's nothing new under the sun that God doesn't know about. Since the first family was dysfunctional, we can rest assured that although we know we're not wanting to be always part of a broken family or a dysfunctional family, God can restore all things. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. In fact, God values families so much that the first covenant that he created with a guy named Abraham, part of the promise, if Abraham held his end up, was that he would be a part of a huge family that would later on be known as the God's chosen people, the Israelites. And so part of the promise to Abraham, part of the bargain, the covenant, the old Testament covenant that God created with Abraham included blessings for your family. Family is very important to God. And as we begin this series, again, my job here is to kind of give you an overview of what we're going to be going over the next few weeks. And so I'm going to bring up a few observations that I have and a couple of questions that I'd like to get your mind thinking about. And the first question that I have for you is, who can be a part of this family? Who can be a part of this extraordinary family of God? We'll look to the Bible for our answer. In John 1, chapter 12, it says, "Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God." Now, the highlight of that verse is the word all. Yet to all who did receive him. Guess who all includes? It includes me, it includes you, and it includes the people that you work with. It includes your boss that you might not get along with. And it includes your, like I said, your coworkers or your family, your distant family. It includes the people that you run into at the supermarket, or the people that you that don't cheer for the same football teams as you, and except for the Eagle fans, obviously, that goes without saying. But it also includes the people that you run into, on the road whenever you're driving, the people who get on your nerves, the people that you have problems with. Those people, too, are invited to be a part of this extraordinary family of God. And the fact of the matter is, since everyone's invited, if we could change our paradigm, the way that we see things, the way that we see people, to seeing people as those who are invited to be a part of our family, how much different will we treat those people when we see them in our daily lives? If you knew that this person who might be getting on your nerves or who you're having a problem with was going to be at your house tonight for dinner, you might handle that situation a little bit differently. And yet that's what the Bible says, is that all are invited to be a part of the family of God, and so we need to treat them that way. And the job of the family members that are already in the family, by the way, is to make those who come into the family feel at home. My dad, whenever I was growing up, my dad's a hugger. Just so you guys know, just warning if he ever shows up here. My dad's a hugger, and anytime I'd bring a friend over, I knew what was going to happen. And he'd come over, and I'd say, "Hey, Dad, this is so-and-so, so-and-so, this is my dad." And I'd like mouth the words while he was giving him this big old bear hug. And he'd say, "Hey, listen, son, let me tell you something. All right, we got one rule at our house, and that rule is make yourself feel at home. Hey, you're thirsty, go to that fridge, get something to drink. You're hungry, go to the pantry, open it up, get something to eat. Don't feel like you have to ask, just go. Our house is your house. Feel at home." And how much more so should we be that as a church? How much more so should we invite people who are not a part of this family, not a part of God's family, into our family and make them feel at home? In fact, I'd like to give a quick shout out to anyone who's on our serve team. Anyone who's ever been on our serve team, thank you so much, because the serve team of the church is the heartbeat of the church. We cannot have Vibrant Church without a serve team. That's just a fact. And so if you're on the serve team, then you probably know a saying that we have defined what a win is for our serve team here at Vibrant Church. A win for our serve team is to make people feel like they instantly belong. From the moment they pull in their cars into the parking lot, come through the door, grab their coffee, come into the auditorium, we want you to feel like you instantly belong. And I hope that you are, if you're a first-time guest here today, have felt that, because that is our win. We know if we can get there, then we have won. So my second observation, my second question that I have is, what does this family look like? And just as a side note, I'm not going to talk about like outward appearance. We're more going to talk about and focus on the inside. What does this family look like, this extraordinary family of God? And, since we live in a broken world, the world defined by sin, we got broken world problems. We've got broken family problems. In fact, all of us have broken family problems. Whether your family, you feel like everything's going great or not, we all are dealing with broken family problems. And I know that I have broken family problems. I know that I struggle with things that I need to learn how to do better so that I can invite people in and be more accepting of people. And the problem is that if you struggle with broken family or broken world problems, and again, I'm not talking about literal broken families. I'm talking more about the fall of sin and its effect of our life, broken type families. Then you know that the saying, I'm sure you've heard it before, is that hurt people hurt people. So I need to know what the blessed family looks like, this extraordinary family of God looks like, because hurt people hurt people. And so one of the way, but the opposite is also true, that blessed people bless people. And so that's why we need to know what the blessed family looks like. And to illustrate that, I'm going to use this that you see on your screens right here, the broken family versus the blessed family. Now, the blessed family, this extraordinary family of God, is marked by sacrifice. It's marked by serving other people, putting other people's needs above your own. But on the other side, we have the broken family. The broken family is marked by selfishness and competition. While the blessed family would be marked by sacrifice and making sure that others' needs are met before your own, the broken family would be marked by selfishness and competition, wanting to make sure that you would win or you would get what you needed out of the relationship before anyone else. Now, the blessed family is also marked with an attitude of acceptance, and it accepts people to join the family. Pastor Marco has a saying here that he uses all the time, where he says that circles are better than rows. Circles are better than rows. And the thing about the circles is that circle can grow, and I can still see who's a part of my circle. But I could grow a row, and I might not be able to keep up with everything and everyone who's on my row. We want to grow our family here at Vibrant Church in circles so that we can be involved in each other's lives. Although we do also have another saying, I just realized, that is fill a row, okay? We want to fill a row and turn it into a circle. Everybody got that? Okay. Where's the trick? But that's what Pastor Marco says. And again, the broken family is marked by excluding others who are different, who think differently than us. You know, do we raise our hands? Do we not raise our hands? Do we whatever? And there's something cool that you'll hear Pastor Marco say in our vision class, and that is that we on the essential things we don't budge, but on the non-essential things we show grace. You might have come from a church background that does something different, and maybe I came from one that does it even different from that. And what we're going to look at is, what does the Bible say about it first? Is it an essential or a non-essential? And I can show you grace in that. And again, all the more reason for you to sign up for our vision class that is coming up. There is within the blessed family a spirit of adoption, where no matter what your physical family looks like, whenever you join the extraordinary family of God, you are accepted in, and you will find that you'll have spiritual fathers and spiritual mothers. You'll find that you'll have spiritual brothers and spiritual sisters. You'll have people that are going to mentor you, and you'll have people that you're going to mentor. And that's how families grow. See, whenever you come from a family, maybe that the rest of your family isn't saved, or the rest of your family doesn't go to church, or they don't value the same things, but you become a part of God's family, the extraordinary family, what you'll be able to find is that where you might lack some spiritual guidance from your actual family, you should be able to find spiritual guidance from your spiritual family. And then hopefully you can bring your actual family in, and they experience the same thing. Now, the only way that you can fix a broken family is to join the blessed family. And so I have a question for you. It's, which family are you, right? It's which qualities do you see in yourself, right, of which one of these families? Now, I like I said, we already all experience and we all feel and have these broken family qualities because sin is in this world, and we're not going to be perfect until we're reunited with Christ, and I get all of that, but I want to let you know that I did grow up in an amazing family. And in fact, I recognize that my biggest privilege, my greatest privilege in this entire world is having both my families in the household to raise me, to give me opportunity, to unconditionally love me and discipline me, and to show me grace and have patience. And I hope that I am half of the parents that my parents were to the kids that I may one day have. And no, that's not a pregnancy announcement, just so you guys know. And while I was growing up, I knew that not everybody had the same family dynamic as me, but I never really understood how much it could affect kids while they grew up until I became a teacher. And once I became a teacher, I began to notice that the way that you grow up in your family really determines the outlook of your life and the outlook that you have on the world. And so what I want to say is that your kids are watching you. You know, I teach your kids, and I have your students, and I have your kids, and I'm also a teacher outside of Vibrant Church, and so I teach your kids, and your kids are watching you. Whatever's normal in your house is going to be normal outside of your house. Whatever it is that you do in moderation inside your house in front of your kids are going to do in excess outside of your house. And so what I'm saying is that whatever you make a priority, your kids will make a priority. And so I'm going to do a shameless Pastor Marco approved plug here and say that we believe in the next generation here at Vibrant Church. We want to invest in the next generation here in Vibrant Church because we know that the next generation is going to have to carry the generation that there is now. It's going to have to fill in and replace and take leadership and ultimately become the ones who run the country and the churches and everything. And God has big plans for the next generation. And so one of the ways that we can show the next generation that we believe in them is by investing in them. And so my shameless plug right here is that we have a church camp, youth camp, coming up this summer, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the first camp that we've ever gone to as Vibrant Church, and I'm super excited to take everyone. But we have a vision, and we want to be able to take 10 or more kids to camp completely free of charge. And one of the ways that we can do that is we have actually created a poster board outside. Again, Pastor Marco approved, not just because he's not here. And on there, we've set a bunch of different envelopes with different numbers on them. Some of them are full price admission for camp, and some of them are differing amounts all the way down to, I think, like $25 or something like that. And so what we're asking you to do is pray about it, first of all. And if you feel so led, then after service, over at the Info Center, my wife, Courtney, will be out there with a smile and a high-pitched voice, welcome you to come over. And if you would take an envelope off of that, if you feel so led, take an envelope off of that poster board. And basically what that signifies is that you're willing to give that much of an amount in order to invest in the students in the next generation of not only Vibrant Church, but of the world, right? And so I firmly believe that that one of the best things, one of the greatest things, one of the most important jobs that I have as a youth pastor, as a students pastor, is to get your kids to camp, because there's something about getting away from everything that you're used to seeing on the day-to-day. There's something about getting away from yes, even you, mom and dad, with the pressures that you might put on your kids. Not that that's a bad thing, but also to get away from their friends and also to get away from school and social media and all those things, and to get an environment where they can encounter God without any of that getting in the way. God will rock their life, and they'll never be the same. I know that because that's what happened to me. And I know that because that's what happens to so many other people that camp has changed their life. And some of you guys are nodding your heads, and I'm guessing that means that you've had a camp experience that changed your life. And that's awesome, and that's what we want to do. So if you would feel so led, after service, again, this is my shameless plug, and I'm almost done, just grab one of those envelopes, and you can either pay that online or turn it into the offering box, but I would ask that you make sure you have your name on it so that we can thank you properly. And again, we value the next generation here at Vibrant Church, and that's a way that we can show them that we value them, is to show you, hey guys, here's how much your church believes in you. They have raised enough money for all of you, or at least 10 of you, to go to camp for free. That's how much they invest, how much they believe in you, and that's how much they want to invest in you. They've made you a priority here at Vibrant Church. They haven't forgot about you. You're not just a side ministry. You are part of Vibrant Church. So anyways, let's move on to the next observation that we have here, which is, how do I become part of this family? How do I become part of this family? Well, again, to answer a question like this, we need to look at the Bible. And so the same verse that we've already read, John chapter 1, verse 12 says, "Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God." And so if we can figure out who this he and him guy is, then we can figure out the answer to this question. I think that most of us, in this room know who he and him is, and that's Jesus Christ. The Bible tells us that the only way to become a part of the family of God is to believe and receive what Jesus Christ did for us. Now, catch this, is that the first family was marked by the murder of a son, the murder of Abel. And that marked that family. And in fact, it set a curse upon the family, and it was part of that broken world, that broken family mentality that we entered into whenever we left the garden. But the opposite is also true, because God is building a family that's going to last forever, and it too is marked by the murder of a son. But instead of dividing us, the murder of this son unites us. The murder of Jesus Christ is what unites this extraordinary family. And we read it here in the Bible. I'm sure you know this verse. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him." Remember that all people are invited to this family. It doesn't matter, how rich or poor, or how successful, or how good looking, or how tall or short, or whatever it is that you've done in your past. All people are invited to join this family, this extraordinary family of God. However, not all people will accept this invitation. Not everybody will accept the invitation. And in fact, it blows my mind when I think about how Jesus died on the cross for people that he did not know for sure would even accept or acknowledge what he did for them. And you have to know that as he's taking this punishment and he's dying for us on this cross and bearing the weight of our sins, that he knew that some people would never acknowledge him. But he did it anyways, and he'd do it again. And this needs to be true of us as a church as well. Because we need to be willing to offer anyone and everyone a chance to join this extraordinary family. Whether or not we think that they're going to accept the invitation is not the problem, but whether or not we are willing to extend one is. I love what Pastor Marcos says about how he sees Vibrant Church. He says, "We are a church for the unchurched." And guess what? Whenever you are a church for the unchurched, sometimes you get unchurched problems. And that's okay. Because our heart here at Vibrant Church isn't just to build a church for people who are spiritually healthy and blessed, but it's also to offer a space for people who are new to the church, new to Christian faith, aren't perfect, and have questions. And by the way, if that's you today, I hope that you felt at home from the moment that you walked in here. Your problems don't scare God, and they're not going to scare us away either. And we're not going to run you off because you have some different things that have happened in your life than maybe that have happened for other people. This space right here is a space for everybody. If you got questions, we're here for you. We want to answer them. We want to help you. We want to invite you to be a part of this extraordinary family of God. And I know that when I look at the life of Jesus, this is the correct way to think. Jesus came to preach this good news and to help people understand what God feels about them and how he values them. And what he would do is he would be hanging out with the people that the religious elite of the time wouldn't spend their time on, because they didn't see them the same. They didn't see them as valuable. But Jesus would be spending his time with the tax collectors and the sinners, and the religious elite of the day would say, "What are you doing? Don't you know who they are? Don't you know they got problems, baggage, trauma?" And Jesus would look at them and say, "Oh, I understand. You must be confused. You see, I'm a doctor, and I've come to heal the sick." Other times they would see Jesus and he would be hanging out with the prostitutes and the downtrodden people that society would outcast and put on the outskirts of town. And they'd look at him and say, "Don't you understand who it is that you're hanging out with? Those people are not right. You need to get away from them." And he'd say, "I understand. You must be mistaken. See, I'm a good shepherd. And I'll leave the 99 who are safe in the pen to go and find the one lost one, because they are just as valuable as the other ones that are still in the pen." In Vibrant Church, that's the extraordinary family of God summed up. That's the extraordinary family we're trying to build here. That's the heart of Vibrant Church, is that we would never neglect the one to stay in the comfort of the 99, that we would never disown or cast out those who might not have grown up the same way that we did. There's all kinds of stories in this room, and each one of them are valuable. Our vision at Vibrant Church is to help you grow a healthy relationship with God. And we can't do that if we're too busy judging each other for their problems. I'm happy to be a part of a church that doesn't have that problem. Part of the way that we can do this is by welcoming all people to join our family. And so I want to close with this, and I have 3 questions that I want to give you that will help you invite people into this extraordinary family. And whenever you see people here at church, I got 3 questions that you can ask them to grow relationship. And the first one is this: what's your name? Walk up to somebody and ask them what their name is. We need to know people's names so that we can connect with them. And by the way, if you're like me and you've forgotten people's name before, but you've already gone up to them and asked them what their name is, just go for it. Just go for it. You're not gonna offend anyone. I promise. I think that you'll find that they might have forgotten your name too. Just make sure that you don't get offended, right? It's like, oh, I can forget yours, but you can't forget mine. Just, what's your name? The second thing that you can ask somebody is, what's your story? Hey, how long you been going to Vibrant Church? How'd you hear about Vibrant Church? Do you have a family? What's your story? Find out more than just people's names. Find out what brought them here. And then the last thing that you can ask someone to help them be more comfortable here in the extraordinary family of God is how can I help? Ask people. Get to know them. Get to know their names. Get to know their story. How can I help? What can I do for you? Is there a need that I can fill? And I know that sounds a little forward, but whenever we become so ingrained in the culture of the extraordinary family of God, filling each other's needs will be second nature. Helping each other whenever you have a problem will be something that you don't think about. It'll just be something that you do. And that is the heart of Vibrant Church. So, what's your name? What's your story? How can I help?